Hello, I'm District Attorney Jack Denary, and I'm here with Assistant District Attorney Erin Connelly. She's running for Judge of Erie County Court of Common Pleas, and I'm supporting her candidacy. So we're going to have a conversation today about why not only I believe she's qualified for office, but what she's going to tell you about herself that makes her a great candidate to be one of our next judges. Erin joined the District Attorney's Office in 2003. I was working there under Brad Folk at the time. She handles approximately 250 cases every year. These aren't just minor crimes. We're talking about rapes, murders, robberies, and those types of crimes. I'm proud to say that I've worked with her on a number of these cases. We've been together in a few homicide cases together with successful outcomes. But more importantly, it's what she puts into the case. She's a tenacious prosecutor. I'm very proud to have her on my staff, and that's at least one of the reasons I'm supporting her for Common Pleas Judge. Erin, welcome today.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's talk about yourself. This is your chance to toot your horn and talk to the voters about why, number one, why don't we talk about why you're running for judge?
Well, as you mentioned a couple minutes ago, I've been in the District Attorney's Office now for over 12 years. I've worked in the community with all the agencies, the police departments, the domestic violence agencies, the victim witness agencies, and I've gotten to know the community, the courtroom, and the job. And as a prosecutor, I've had an opportunity to look at the whole big picture. What's required for justice? What do we need? What's in the best interest of the community? What's in the best interest of the victim, as well as what's in the best interest of the defendant? Are there rehabilitative needs? Is this just accountability? Are there other resources we can utilize to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And those are all things I would take with me to the bench. It's that experience that I believe makes me ready to be the next judge in Erie County.
Well, let's tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. So let's go back to just a brief bio, where you went to college, where you went to law school, and why after graduating from law school you said to yourself, hey, I think I'd like to be a prosecutor.
I was born and raised in Erie, in the city of Erie. I'm a Strong Vincent graduate. I then went on to Indiana University of Pennsylvania for college, where I got my degree in criminology. And I followed that up with law school at Duquesne University. Upon leaving law school, it was my passion to be involved in criminal justice and to become a prosecutor. I've always been interested in the justice system, in the courtroom, and that's what I wanted to do. I applied for that actually prior to graduation and was hired into the office in August of 2003.
And you said you graduated from Strong Vincent High School here in the city. You're a proud alum. In fact, you were honored this year, were you not? By go ahead, tell them.
I was the keynote speaker at Strong Vincent's graduation this year, which was a great, great honor. I'm a very proud graduate of Strong Vincent. I've gone back into the school over the years to speak to the students, to help them develop a mock trial team, and compete against other schools, and I'm very passionate about helping out with education, especially at my alma mater.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about some of the cases. I told the viewers that, you know, you're typically on our most serious cases. You're doing murders, homicide cases, rapes, robberies. Tell the viewers how you prepare for those, or at least why those stand out in terms of your accomplishments in the office.
With regard to murder cases, I actually just finished my 18th murder prosecution. I think approximately 10 of them have been jury trials, and those are obviously very time-consuming cases. They take a great amount of preparation, and we actually start those cases from the beginning. We start them usually from the night the homicide occurs. We get involved with the investigation. We work with the police officers. We attend the autopsies, and continue from there preparing the cases. So we do need to work with all agencies and prepare that for the courtroom from the very beginning. And that also includes working with witnesses who are not always cooperative and willing to come forward. So you have to develop that relationship with individuals in the community to make them comfortable, or to try and make them comfortable in the courtroom. And that's something I've done throughout my career in those difficult cases. I also specialize, I think you said, in domestic violence and sexual assault cases. I've done so from almost the very beginning of my career. Those have been my passion Sexual assault cases are certainly the most challenging cases to try in a courtroom. They're also the most rewarding cases because you meet just the most amazing people, and you're more inspired by the victim in the end than they are inspired by you, I think.
Well, so a judge obviously is going to be sitting on the bench, and tell the viewers about your career in the courtroom. How many cases have you done over the last 12 years in the district attorney's office?
I've prosecuted thousands of cases in different aspects. PFA violations I handle on a weekly basis and have for about 9 or 10 years in the courtroom. So I'm in court weekly, or daily, whether it be for a preliminary hearing, a PFA violation, an evidentiary issue, or a trial. I've tried between 120 and 130 cases in front of juries. Also, I've tried cases non-jury, but those are my jury trials. I can't even count the number of other things I've done just hearing-wise and on a daily basis, whether it be a guilty plea or a sentencing for an individual in court.
Now, why do you think being in the courtroom basically every day of your career, why do you think that's important as a qualification to be a judge?
Well, I think there's a misconception among people in the community that all attorneys are in the courtroom, and that's not true. A lot of attorneys actually never set foot in the courtroom. My job, I've been in court every single day, so it's essentially on-the-job training. I know the courtroom, I know the procedures in the courtroom for various different matters that are held in front of the different courts. I know how the different judges have run their courtrooms, and I know the rules of evidence that are required in the courtroom. So I feel that gives me a step up on the other candidates.
All right. And we talked about, obviously you have a great deal of experience, not only in the number of cases you've dealt with and victims and relationships with police officers and so on. Let's talk a little bit about your involvement in the community. What, besides when you don't have your prosecutor hat on, what are you doing in the Erie community that perhaps the viewers might not know about you?
Well, I mentioned before about Strong Vincent. I've gone back into Strong Vincent to speak and coach mock trial. I've also coached mock trial team at East High School and Fort LaBeouf High School. Fort LaBeouf was this past year, and Mercier's University. I'm currently teaching a mock trial class at Mercier's University, which teaches the students how to try a case in the courtroom, what the proper procedure and evidentiary rules are in court, so that those students can go on to compete at a statewide level. In addition to that, I've gone back into the grade schools. Wayne, I read there for the Hooked on Books for Kids program. I've been doing that for approximately 5 or 6 years on a monthly basis. I've done Dr. Seuss Day with the kids at Deal Elementary School. The Wills for Heroes program through the Bar Association. I've done that the last, there's been 2 of them so far. I've been involved in both of those, as well as Attorneys and Kids Together program, which provides a big brother, big sister type of program for kids in the community who are part of the sheltered services. Additionally, I've spoke on domestic violence and spoke on sexual assault to both college students and various agencies.
Now, why do you think, obviously a judge has to know evidence, know procedure and so on. Why do you think it's important that the next judge actually have some contact with the community, with the citizens out there?
I think that the courtroom can be an intimidating experience, and I think it's best for the judge to know the people that are involved in the community, know the community, and be able to make those people feel comfortable when they come into the courtroom. Of course, it's not always going to be a pleasant experience. It rarely is going to be a pleasant experience if you find yourself in the courtroom, but you should be able to make the individuals in the courtroom feel comfortable, and I've been able to do that over the years with both uncooperative witnesses, with victims, and with various other people, and I think that's because I know the community, because I'm out with the people in this community.
You mentioned uncooperative witnesses, and obviously you and I have had those cases. Our office has had those cases, and I think the public knows about those cases where individuals in this community who are charged with violent crimes against others, and it comes time to have the hearing or the trial, and suddenly our witnesses are gone, or they're very uncooperative. You've had a good amount of success with those witnesses. In fact, you're pretty much the specialist in our office regarding uncooperative witnesses. Tell the people How come you just don't give up? Why don't you just say, well, they don't want to go forward and we're not even going to try? Why is it important to try?
Well, it certainly would be easy to give up. I mean, that would be the easy thing to do. But as we know, the right thing to do is to go forward. When people commit crimes in Erie County, they have to be held accountable. And sometimes witnesses are scared or don't want to come forward or don't want to cooperate for various reasons. And our goal is to get them to do so, because if we don't, we're essentially setting up a situation where an individual has a license to go out and commit more crimes if no one's going to do anything about it. So we work very hard, and I've worked very hard to make sure that witnesses are comfortable, their questions are answered, and if they still refuse to cooperate, then we've sought legal ramifications such as material witness bonds to get them to do so, because the utmost important part of our job is making sure that Erie County is safe, that our law enforcement is safe when they're out on the streets, and that the people in the community are safe in their homes, schools, and out on the streets. And we do that legally however we can. And sometimes that just requires putting an uncooperative witness in jail, and sometimes it requires just a lot of hand-holding along the way to get them comfortable and where they need to be.
Now, you also, in our office, pretty much the specialist in domestic violence. And for years, been taking those cases into court, and also what's known as the criminal contempt cases where a PFA is violated. Tell us why that has a special place in your heart. Predominantly women who are victims in this community, why does that hold such a special place in your heart?
I've had a lot of opportunity to meet different victims over the years, and a lot of the females I've worked with who have been domestic violence victims and actually sexual assault victims are the ones that they're strong, they're trying, they're doing the best they can, and sometimes they just need a little help. And those are the cases where you're going to get the most reward for what you do, because you're not only helping that individual, but you're helping other individuals around them see what they can do to make a difference. Sometimes it just takes a little more conversation, and sometimes it takes a second or third time for them to come back to you. But I've certainly had individuals that you work with them, maybe the first time they're not ready to leave, but they will come back and tell you they're ready and they want to go forward and proceed. And those are the most rewarding cases to do, when you can help someone out of a violent situation that maybe they didn't have the self-esteem or ability to help themselves out of in the first place.
Now, we also, maybe the public doesn't realize, but we evaluate maybe 3,500 cases a year as a whole, and I said that you handle about 250 cases yourself. We plea bargain cases, we evaluate cases. How is a sense of, tell us about a sense of fairness that you would bring to the bench, having been a prosecutor, and why you think that helps you out to be a candidate for judge?
Well, it goes back to looking at the whole big picture. When we're evaluating cases and when we're determining what a plea deal is, we're a lot of times doing that on our own. We look at our cases, we all have full caseloads, and we have to go back and say, what is in the best interest of this victim? That requires meeting with the victim, talking to the victim, finding out what they'd like to see done and what they need to see done. It also requires us to look at the sentencing guidelines. What is this individual facing that's charged with a crime? What can we do for them? What are their needs? Is this someone that's a repeat felon and needs to go away for a long time? Then that's our goal. Is this a gun crime that should be treated harshly? Then that's our goal. Is this someone who needs drug, alcohol treatment? That's the goal. We have to look at the whole big picture. And finally, we have to look at what's in the best interest of the community. Is this person going to reoffend? Can we fix this? Can we help this situation? And those are all things that the judge has to look at on the bench as well. Essentially, what we do as prosecutors is take it to the judge, and then the judge kind of finalizes everything.
Okay. Well, I think we're close to the end here. Anything you'd like to say in wrapping up to the viewers out there about why you believe they should vote for you?
I would just say to the viewers out there that I am the most experienced candidate in the courtroom with on-the-job training for the position of judge in Erie County.
Okay. Well, thank you, Erin. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your time in viewing this, and certainly appreciate you getting out and voting this November, and in particular voting for Assistant District Attorney Erin Connelly. Thank you.
Thank you.